He was tall, dignified, with perfect silver hair and a deep, resonant voice. He looked exactly like what you'd imagine a powerful leader should look like. And in 1920, the American people agreed, electing Warren G. Harding as president in a landslide victory. There was just one problem. He was a disaster. His administration was riddled with corruption, scandal, and staggering incompetence. Historians now rank him as one of the worst presidents in U.S. history. How did an entire nation get it so wrong? They didn't judge Harding on his competence. They judged him on how he looked. Have you ever met someone and instantly felt drawn to them? The confidence radiating from them, their brilliant smile, the way they commanded the room. You thought, this person is amazing. And then, 6 months later, you realize the charismatic boss is a manipulator. Or that charming date turned out to be profoundly selfish. What happened? You're not stupid. You simply fell into one of the most powerful cognitive. To understand the spotlight illusion, we need to understand how the brain processes information. Our brain is an incredibly efficient machine, but it's also cognitively lazy. To cope with information overload and conserve energy, the brain doesn't carefully analyze every detail. Instead, it relies on mental shortcuts known as heuristics. The halo effect is one of those shortcuts. It occurs when one prominent positive trait of a person influences how we perceive their other, unrelated traits. Imagine this: you are in a dark room. Suddenly, a narrow, intensely bright spotlight switches on and illuminates a stunningly beautiful statue. In the center of the room, the statue looks magnificent, flawless. Your attention is completely captured by it. You assume the entire room is just as beautiful, but you don't see the cobwebs in the corner, the peeling paint on the walls, or the hidden dangers lurking in the shadows. The spotlight has created an impression so powerful that it obscures everything else. This is precisely what happens in our minds. The old paradigm is believing we are objective judges. We think, this person is well-dressed and articulate, therefore they must be competent and trustworthy. The new paradigm is recognizing that we almost never see the whole picture initially. We only see where the spotlight is pointing. If we find someone physically attractive. This concept was first identified over a century ago by psychologist Edward Thorndike. During World War I, Thorndike studied how commanding officers rated their subordinates. He discovered a disturbing pattern. When an officer rated a soldier highly in one area, such as neat appearance, they tended to rate that soldier highly in all other areas, such as intelligence and leadership. They were unable to separate different traits. The spotlight of neatness drowned everything else out. It's a form of what Nobel laureate psychologist Daniel Kahneman calls System 1 thinking, our brain's automatic, emotional system. System 1 wants to create a simple, coherent story about the world, even if that story isn't accurate. Why does our brain do this? There are 3 primary mechanisms at play. 1. The need for cognitive closure. Our brains hate ambiguity. They want to reach cognitive closure, to decide quickly and move on. When we see a clear positive trait, the brain uses it as an anchor to interpret other ambiguous information positively. 2. Attribute substitution. This is when we substitute a difficult question with an easier one. Difficult question: is this person a good leader? Easy question: does this person look like a good leader? The brain silently swaps them. 3. Confirmation bias. Once the halo is formed, confirmation bias kicks in to protect it. We actively seek out information that confirms our beliefs and ignore information that contradicts them. This is precisely why attractive people earn more money. Their appearance creates a halo that leads employers to believe they are also more competent and intelligent. The spotlight is on their beauty, and everyone assumes their skills are just as radiant. Now, you might be thinking, but sometimes first impressions are accurate. True. The problem isn't that first impressions are always wrong. The problem is that they are unreliable. We are placing far too much faith in a single data point. The dark side of the halo, the horns effect. As promised, let's talk about the halo effect's evil twin, the horns effect. This is when one prominent negative trait obscures everything else. If someone speaks awkwardly, we tend to assume they are also less intelligent or lazy. The spotlight focuses on the flaw, and we miss their potential. This is the foundation of many prejudices and has devastating effects in job interviews. The consequences of falling into the spotlight illusion can be life-altering. 1. Politics and leadership, the Harding era. We talked about Warren G. Harding. He looked presidential, so people voted for him, but the spotlight concealed the truth that he lacked intellect and was easily manipulated by his corrupt friends, e.g. the Teapot Dome scandal. Malcolm Gladwell called this the Harding era, the blind belief that leadership appearance equals leadership ability. 2. Business and hiring. Candidates who are confident and attractive are often preferred over those who are more qualified, but less charismatic. This leads to bad hires and missing out on real talent. 3. Marketing and consumerism. Why do companies use celebrity? Breaking the spell of the spotlight illusion is not about becoming cynical. It's about becoming more accurate. It's about achieving empowered clarity. Here are 3 powerful strategies to counteract the halo effect. Strategy 1. Slow down and engage system to the halo effect is a product of system 1. To counter it, we need to activate system to our brain's analytical, rational system. When you feel that strong, immediate positive impression of someone, treat it as a red alert signal. Say to yourself, this might be the spotlight illusion at work. Simply pausing is enough to interrupt the automatic process. Biases thrive on speed. They die in deliberation. Strategy 2, the split screen technique. This is the most powerful technique I promised. Instead of letting your brain blend everything into a general impression, force it to separate the data. Visualize a line down the center of your mind, creating a split screen. On the left side, list what you actually know. On the right side, list what your brain is assuming. Example, you meet a potential investor. Left, no. He drives an expensive car. He speaks very confidently. He dropped a few big names. Right, assume. He is very successful. He is a genius. He is trustworthy. The act of separating fact from assumption immediately exposes the gaps in your knowledge. It shows you how much you are relying on the halo versus the reality. Strategy 3. Actively seek disconfirming evidence. Counter confirmation bias. You must actively hunt for evidence that disconfirms your initial impression. Play the devil's advocate. If you think someone is smart because they are confident, look for situations where they give shallow answers. If you think someone is kind because they are charming to you, pay special attention to how they treat people they don't need to impress. The way to rule: observe how they treat. The world is not simple. Humans are complex, contradictory creatures. We can be brilliant in one area and incompetent in another. The spotlight illusion is a powerful reminder that our brain is not a perfect recording device of reality. It is a storyteller, and it prefers simple narratives. It loves the bright spotlight focused on a single point, ignoring the shadows around it. But the real truth is often found in those shadows. Your journey starting today is about moving from passive blindness to empowered clarity. It's about having the courage to look beyond the surface, to ask harder questions, and to acknowledge that our first impressions are often just the beginning of the story, not the end. By understanding the spotlight illusion, you reclaim control over your perception. You learn how to turn on the house lights. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever fallen into the spotlight illusion? Share your stories in the comments below. If you found value in this video, hit the like button and subscribe to Psych Blueprint for more insights